Welcome to this episode of Equalizer podcast. My name is William Acosta, and today I have the pleasure of sitting down with someone who has built a career at the intersection of traditional police work and cutting-edge technology. We're shining a light on Society of Professional Investigators, SPI, and how it's growing into a true home for investigators, not just in New York, but around the world, while also looking at the company that lets our guests put those skills to work every day, Executive Digital Group. My guest spent nearly 25 years with the Suffolk County Police Department, started in patrol and community policing before moving on to complex computer crime, digital forensic, and criminal intelligence. Those years investigating everything from homicides to high-tech intrusions laid the ground for what he does now. Today, he's the co-owner and lead forensic analyst at the Executive Digital Group, a family-run cybersecurity and digital investigation firm. He operates alongside his wife. Their company provides digital forensic, cybersecurity, and full IT strategies and supports under one roof, helping corporations, law firms, and professionals respond to incidents, uncover digital evidence, and secure their systems with code-ready work product. He also serves as the president of the Society of Professional Investigators, known as SPI, helping guide and connect investigators across multiple disciplines. Joining me on this show is Mr. Michael Graziano. In our conversation, we are going to dig into what SPI actually does for working investigators, practical education, meaningful training, and real community of colleagues who understand the pressure and responsibilities of this profession. We'll talk about what it takes to become a member of SPI and how someone can apply to it, and how being a part of this organization can support you whether you run your own agency, work inside a corporation or a law firm, or specialize in digital forensics. We also spend time on something new and important. The Society of Professional Investigators, SPI, is moving to open its doors to qualified international private investigators. If you are listening from outside the United States and you care about licensing, ethics, and professionalism, we'll walk you through how SPI is making room for you, the standards you'll need to meet, and what it means to be a part of a trusted network that can collaborate across borders on real cases. And along the way, we'll talk about how Executive Digital Group helps clients navigate cyber incidents, ransomware, internal investigations, and e-discovery from the first phone call all the way to the courtroom. If you're serious about doing this work the right way and you're looking for a professional home and partners that share the mindset, you are in the right place. Hi, Michael. Thank you for being with us at the Equalizer podcast. You had an incredible journey from Suffolk County Police Detective to president of the Society of Professional Investigators and your company, Executive Digital Group. Let's start at the beginning. Can you give me a quick overview of your 25-year law enforcement career?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, William, again. It's great to be here, and thank you for the opportunity. So I joined the Suffolk County Police Department October of 1995, and I retired as a detective in July of 2019. I spent almost 24 years with the Suffolk County Police Department. I started out in patrol in the 6th Precinct. I moved up into C.O.P.E, which was our community-oriented police enforcement unit. And there I built and worked neighborhood watch programs. I gave stranger danger talks And I always had a very strong computer background. And because of that, they eventually, the Suffolk County Police Department put me in the information technology systems section as a police officer, where I wrote custom programs in things like .NET and VB to not only make the department run smoother, but to kind of streamline operations. And even while I was there, I was recovering data from damaged hard drives, and I also assisted with helping with network security. Then in 2005, I was promoted to detective, and I was put in the computer crimes unit, and I spent about the next 14 years there doing digital forensics from everything from child exploitation cases to network intrusions. I worked with homicide, counter and terrorism, East End agencies, the FBI. I also, our unit worked a couple times with America's Most Wanted and John Walsh. I was also part of the Internet Crimes Against Children's Task Force, where I worked, again, undercover with America's Most Wanted, where we were catching online predators and stuff like that. Towards the end of my career, I moved over to the criminal intel section after working on the sex offender task force. And during my time with the Suffolk County Police Department and in computer crimes, I taught computer forensics and online investigations at the police academy to different agencies, our own detectives and police officers. I was also responsible for internet safety presentations to kids and parents. It really was an amazing ride and a great job that gave me the foundation for everything I do today.
That is an excellent career, Mike. I congratulate you for so many years of unwavering service to the state and the people of New York. What made you decide to leave the badge and go full-time with Executive Digital Group?
So, after over 20 years and doing the kind of investigations I did, we had started the business in 2015 while I was still on the job. And the company's owned by my wife. And, we really saw a need in the private sector for the same high-level digital forensics and security expertise that I had in law enforcement. And, we really kind of made the decision that, we have 3 kids, they're getting older. So we made the decision, me and my wife, that, it was time for me to retire and we were going to work at the business full time. So my wife and I dove into head first into Digital Executive Group. It had been now around 4 years that it had been established, and we started offering computer and mobile forensics, e-discovery, data recovery, network security, penetration testing, and then we have the full IT services on the other end of the business. And this really brought together what I did and saw in the police department, that we want to be able to do investigations, and we also wanted to provide IT services for clients. But then if they needed investigations, they had human resource issues, we could also do the the computer forensics on that. And we really brought both of those worlds together to bring together an ironclad security suite with our company without the red tape of basically government bureaucracy.
You hold some top certifications in the industry. CISSP?
Yes.
BUET, GREM, Celebrity, CCPA-CCO, InCase, ACE, FTK, ACE. Which one do you use the most in your day-to-day work at Executive Digital Group?
So, it's very important, and it's always been important to me, even when I was teaching at the academy, to have, certifications and keep up with education. So, yes. So really all of them kind of come into play in different avenues. But I would say the ones that I lean really heavy right now is my GX certs for forensics, web application penetration testing, and reverse engineering malware. I really, I guess I really don't have to say too much. Everybody reads in the paper now and on the, online on the news about all these hacking incidences and data getting leaked. And we've been seeing that a lot with the company as well. And I've been really relying on those certifications. I'm actually recertifying right now with the SANS course, doing reverse engineering malware. And the other one that comes into play is Celebrite. It used to be when I started in computer forensics, everything was computers. There were no cell phones. That was an emerging technology. And all the forensics and everything was done on computers. Now, that's the total opposite. We don't see as many computers nearly as much anymore. Everything are mobile devices and tablets. So that would be the next certification, and the devices that we see on a daily basis.
For young people that want to go into this type of a business, what recommendations do you have for them if they are leaving high school, college, and they don't know which way their life is going to go? What do you recommend that they do so maybe one day they could become as proficient or join a police force or a federal agency?
So what I always recommend when I ask this question is, and again, my skills on this have really gone down, was I always tell people, have a second language. Whatever that is. I used to, believe it or not, be proficient with Spanish. My grandparents were Italian, and when I went to school, I graduated with the Regents in Spanish, and I was able to talk to them. When they passed away, that went the way of all things. So that's always that's one of the first things. Then, as far as with the digital world, one of the greatest institutions out there, again, my opinion, is the SANS Institute. And they offer basic level courses to very advanced level courses. So I would say take a look at the SANS Institute and take a look at some of their certifications that they offer. And then the next ones I would say would be some of the bigger forensic software and companies out there in the industry, like Celebrite. I would look at them and start exploring their certifications, NCASE, Access Data, FTK. You have another great piece of forensic software out there, Axiom Forensics, X-Ways. So that's where I would start with someone getting into the industry. And then I would also recommend, doing some YouTube University, going out there, finding, leaders and people on the industry that are doing, cutting edge technology and talking about it, following them, learning about them, and, have some computers set up that you can perform and test, what you're learning, so you can get yourself that experience and build up that resume.
Give us a real example of a case where executive digital group help a client turn the tide.
Sure. So one that I'm kind of stands out to me. So this was a mid-sized company suspected of an employee that was stealing trade secrets and getting data out of the company. So we were contacted by the owner, and we went in after hours, and we did forensics. We then also performed some remote forensic acquisitions on this client's company computers, because there were two location. And during the forensic examination and the analysis, we had found deleted files, and we were able to trace external IP addresses and recovered chat logs that showed exactly who the data went to, who did it, how much data. And it was this was a case that we really expedited because of the severity and the nature of it. And it was in basically almost 48 hours, we had court admissible evidence that let them file the necessary court paperwork and processes with the local law enforcement. And then we actually eventually did win an injunction and won the civil case. We had another one time where we helped a divorce client prove hidden cryptocurrency accounts on an erased laptop. where we recovered the wallet and transaction history. And that really changed the settlement for our client. And again, these were things that I used to do, in the police department when we had a case, homicide case, where a guy had deleted or what he thought deleted his laptop, and then I was able to go in and recover all the contents and show how he bought stuff online that was related to the murder. So sometimes these deleted computers or deleted data that seem impossible, with the right training and expertise, these impossible recoveries become possible.
You are also the president of the Society of Professional Investigators. Tell us what SPI is all about and why you took on the leadership role in the organization.
Sure. So SPI, which is the Society of Professional Investigators, which I just became president, was founded in 1956 here in New York City. It's one of the oldest, most respected investigative associations in the country. Our whole mission is education, training, and networking for professional investigators. Private eyes, corporate investigators, forensic examiners, law enforcement people who've now gone private. We hold monthly dinners with really some top tier guests. We have a meeting tomorrow, and we have a really excellent guest. We have our annual awards dinner, and we just are celebrating our 70th birthday. We just implemented now, I have virtual learning for members, and we actually even had some students join. I've been a member now for several years, and when it came time for me to step up as president, I said absolutely yes, because I wanted to give back the same knowledge and education and professional help that I gained in law enforcement in the private sector. Also to note, my wife is now the secretary of SPI, so SPI has also become a family effort to keep the organization strong. And I have to say, the board members are like family to us, and the members are outstanding. And that's what really makes the organization what it is. It's not just me as president, it's our outstanding board and the professional members that we have in the organization.
What does a typical month look like for you at SPI as president? Because you're wearing a lot of hats. You have to keep up with your own personal investigations in your private company, and you have the duties of the president, which you have a membership that you have to be able to relay information and plan events and plan education strategies and guests. You have a very good group of guys working with you, your vice president and the other people of the board, and some of the members that are continuously helping you achieve those goals. Can you take us along what it takes to be able to handle all of this?
Yeah, so first and foremost, I couldn't do it without the guys and girls, and the guys and women on our board. Again, we work as a team. So I got to say that. So a typical month would look like, so every month we put on a dinner meeting. This one tomorrow, March 19th, is going to be at Devonport Press Restaurant. And we have a speaker that's going to talk about legislative landscape for investigators. So during, in between speakers, behind the scenes, we're lining up speakers. I coordinate with the board, our vice president, Rob Freed, our Sergeant Ops, Mike Reynolds, to just name a few. And, we're either all texting or we're making calls on, all right, who's going to be the next speaker? What are we doing? We have an education committee with Denise and Juan, and they're working behind the scenes right now to send out surveys. And, we all make sure that the members, get continuing, education by having, great speakers and virtual events. And then on our meetings, we make sure that we make these meetings not just meetings of information, but networking events for our members as well. I also write the occasional letter from the president where I'll send out emails about things that are going on either in the industry or what I'm working on with our organization and what's going on. And again, the board, we all work together to help organize these meetings and dinners. And yes, it's a lot of work because, like you said, not only do I have our own, we have our own business, but we've got the kids, who's going, to go to. Like my son tonight, he had to go to tutoring, and my wife's taking my other son to a play at the school. So it does become a juggling act, and it is a lot of work. But seeing investigators connect and getting the learning out there and giving back and working with the other investigators it really is rewarding.
You just received the Society of Professional Investigators President's Award in 2024. What did that mean to you?
Yeah, I have to say the SPI President Award was really extra special because it came from the very organization that I now lead. It recognized the technical support and training that we have given members over the years, and I was responsible for helping bring that about. Again, it wasn't just all me; it was a team effort. But I did use my technical experience and know-how. And this just reminds me of the relationships and the giving back that are just as important as the cases and solve. And I really do hold that award dear to my heart.
For someone who wants to break into digital forensic or private investigation, what advice would you give them today?
So I would say start off with learning, going online, doing research about, what are some of the current trends. I would sign up for SANS newsletters, the SANS Institute, look at their training. I would look at like I said, some of the bigger, more industry standard forensic software. And I'm just naming a couple like Celebrite, Access Data, Encase, Axiom. And I would recommend, finding someone that has experience, has the certifications, and mentoring with them, and learning the ropes, so to speak, to get into the industry, and then stay on top of everything. Always making sure that what I do is I have labs set up, and I always test software. I'm always trying it out, seeing how it works, getting familiar with things. So this way, then. I also need to keep up with my training and experience. So that's where I would start and kind of keep going in that direction.
Who is the ideal SPI member, and how would you describe the kind of professional who really thrives in the organization?
So, I would say, so SPI is unique in that we have all walks of life, right? We have investigators that were foreign law enforcement. We have active law enforcement members. We have doctors. We have attorneys. We have people that worked in ballistic capacity. I mean, we really run the gambit. So I don't know if there's so much a perfect SPI member, more than someone. I would say a SPI member is someone who's diligent, professional, has the certifications, and has and has the experience. Now that's not to say that we don't welcome new members and people who are starting in the industry who are either private investigators or have a special skill. We definitely welcome them in, because just like with the police department, you can learn from the people that have the experience, that have done the time, so to speak, in the trenches. And the great thing about SPI is that these members are willing to share that experience and that knowledge with other members.
Can you walk the membership process from the first contact to becoming an active member?
Sure. So what'll happen is, let's say someone just finds us blindly online. So they can reach out on our website. They can submit a form, and that will give, that'll give information about their background, any credentials, and stuff like that. Then once we receive that, we have our membership committee. They'll do their due diligence. They'll do a little bit of a background, make sure is this member a fit, as far as what our bylaws say, and we'll work with the other members. So they'll go through the membership committee, and then once the membership committee vets them and says, yeah, you know what, we're good with this, they'll pass that information on to me, the vice president, and then we'll collectively either have a phone conversation or an in-person meeting, and then we'll talk about that. And then once they've met all the criteria, we've done our due diligence, we'll make them a member. Now, for our membership, there is a membership fee that they will pay, and then once that is paid, I just started now and implemented a digital certificate. So you'll get a digital certificate of membership in good standing, which then you could share out on your LinkedIn and professional channels to show, not only are you a member of SPI, but that membership comes with the fact that people who are in the industry recognizes you as a professional, and you have the credentials to be a member of SPI.
You are trying to implement now an international membership for international private investigators, security personnel, intelligence personnel from overseas of any country. Why was it important for SPI to start opening the doors more formally to international professional investigators?
Yes, so thank you for bringing that up. To me, this was very important, and this was something that I thought, I don't want to say that it lacked, because like I said, we have members that are come from all walks of life, but I felt that we needed something like that, in the fact that with the digital age now and everything, this world has become a whole lot smaller, and I don't have to tell anybody that. And I just felt that yes, we're New York based, but investigations now go all over the globe. Example, I know we spoke about, and you accepted a position as one of our liaisons for that, and it's a great resource to have, because we have investigations that take place in South America and different parts of the country, and sometimes and not sometimes, many times, investigators are looking for someone that they could reach out to either bounce something off or have the connection to help them get to the next level of their investigation. We just we have now a contact over in Africa, in Nigeria, who helps investigators with different types of scams and investigations, in that part of the country. And this just broadens Society of Professional Investigators, where I thought we really, lacked that ability for our investigators. And I'm really excited now, because I've gotten a lot of positive feedback about this, and our members are really excited to take advantage of it.
What baseline standards will an international applicant need to meet to be seriously considered for full membership into the organization?
So this one is a little bit more, I want to say a little bit, it's a lot more stringent, and it involves a lot more, because now we're dealing with, with an investigator that, is outside of our country. So we do the due diligence, and then we do backgrounds to see, all right, what investigations has this person done outside the United States? What success have they had with that investigation? We'll reach out to see, all right, is this person actually what they say they are, right? So we want to make sure that once we have that, once we have that connection, that person in place, that they actually can deliver, for lack of a better term, what they say, and they have those connections. And we're not going to wind up exposing members to a scam or something, so to speak. So it's a lot more stringent in the background as far as our due diligence, what we wind up looking at, as far as the investigator and what they've done. And then once all that criteria is met and we're all confident on the board, then we wind up reaching out and letting that person know, do they still want to accept it? And then we add them to the that part of SPI.
Talk us the moment you realize it was time to hang up the badge and move on to take on all this extra task. It's like, I look at you, you like the man of the thousand faces. You like everywhere, non-stop. And I give you a lot of credit for that. And, over time, presidents of the association have the same type of drive and personality. The president before you was also very, very active. I mean, with the organization. Can you tell us?
Yeah. So with the police department, I had done 24 years. There were times, with any cop, you miss family things. Cases get involved. I did a lot with the child exploitation stuff. And after 24 years, I was like, all right, you know what? It's time. The business had, was doing well. And I wanted to be able to spend the time with my family and concentrate on myself and the business. And, most cops, like, they just know it's time. And it was time. So I retired and then went full into the business. And it's funny because I have an attorney that I know from when I used to work in the police department. And he goes, most cops retire and they kind of take it easy. He's like, he goes, you work more now than you did when you were in the police department. I think that's always been my personality. I think that's what makes me successful in what I do and, with SPI. And I think you need to have that kind of drive in order to do the kind of things that like a president of a society of professional investigators does, or an owner of a company. Because as you know, having a company, it doesn't stop, at 5 o'clock. I get calls sometimes at 10 o'clock at night. Hey, Mike, this is what's going on. This just happened. And all right, okay, and we'll deal with it, So it's different, but I just knew it was time. And if people who are in law enforcement, I'm sure they can agree with me that kind of when it's time.
Can you explain what will be the application process for the international investigators? Are you going to have a separate type of form, or is it going to be the same form but adding extra stuff for their passport, their documentations, so they could be vetted?
Yeah, I've been talking about that with the board going forward. What we should look for, and again, what we should require, and some of the things, like I said, would be what connections do they have? Have other people use them and can vouch for their investigations? Do we have people that are in the organization that maybe even have used them or heard about them? And then what are their credentials? Like you said, do they have passports? Do they have past investigations or things, documentation online that they've published? So with the international, it's a lot more in depth as far as to make of what we do to make sure that we're getting people that are actually what they say they are. Like, if they do these type of investigations, what do they have? Do they have news articles about their success? Do they have publications? Do they have students too that maybe they teach and about the investigations that they do in their country? So that's all part of it before we make the final decision on if they're going to be labeled international liaison for Society of Professional Investigators.
I recommend that every investigator overseas gives a copy of a good conduct certificate that is done by their government, their police.
Mm,
Is a certification that they had no previous criminal record and that they don't have no open cases right now. Because in a lot of countries, the licensing is not the same as in the United States. In the United States, we have a licensing by the state. Not in all the states, but in a lot of the states, we have licensing requirements. But in a lot of countries, you have federal agents from those countries or police officers that are detective in those countries that retire, and then they go into their own private investigative firm, but they have no license to show that they are a licensed private investigator.
mm-hmm. Yep. No, I agree, and that's actually an excellent suggestion. So that I guess will be brought up too at our next meeting when we talk. But yeah, I do agree with you on that.
The association right now is I'm putting together a list of their requirements for each country. The most popular countries, not all of them, but most of them, to see what the requirements are to work as a private investigator or to be in the security industry. And like that, we have the phone numbers and the agencies that handle those departments for each country.
Mm-hmm.
That we need to write under the Freedom of Information Act or formal requests to get background information on the individuals.
Yeah, no, that absolutely 100% agree. The more that you can vet and show authenticity of the person, the more reputable, one, it's going to be for a spy, and two, that you're not just getting somebody that isn't who they say they are. 100% agree.
Mike, do you have any other information that you would like to share? I know that the association is affiliated with other organizations like Blue Lives Matter, the National Police Defense Foundation. What other organizations do you guys affiliated with, or what other investigative associations you guys are associated with?
So we do work closely with Aldenese. That's another investigative organization, and we have a very close relationship with them. We have some of their. I think we have a couple members, one or two coming to our meeting. We go to their meeting, so that's another one that I would recommend. Like you said, we are, we work closely, and Joe Imperatrice is on our board with Blue Lives Matter. We also, a couple other organizations is like Still Blue. They're involved a lot with law enforcement, with the cops that are retired that, maybe are trying to, make the transition from law enforcement now to the private sector. We not only some of the police organizations. I had sent out the other day to the members. We have a military organization that I've been talking to that helps out military members, and then we have civilian organizations as well that we work hand in hand with, and we'll not only sponsor them, but we'll also take some of their take their members who join, and we have members who join theirs. So there's a lot of working together, which is really what the industry should really be all about. Working together, because it was just like in the police department. You had homicide, computer crimes, you had special victims, and working all together really made not only for better cases, but for better information to tie things together. And I was always a big proponent of that when I was doing the sex offender task force and locking up child predators. I was literally working with guys from narcotics. I was working with our electronic surveillance. I worked very closely with our DA's office. I worked with the East End agencies, probation, parole, and all of us working together made a great team, and we put away a lot of bad guys.
If corporate sponsors into the show, how can they help the organization?
Sure. So with corporate sponsorship, I know, like off the top of my head, one of them was C.O.P.E. now. That has sponsored some of our events and stuff like that, and they provide a program which helps investigators. So with the corporate sponsorship, what's good about that is it exposes our members to different programs that might be able to help them in their investigations. So we do try and reach out to different corporations. I'm behind the scenes right now working with some new companies to try and get them on board for not only sponsorship with SPI, but to provide maybe discounts or training to our members.
Right, because so much training that could be done. One of the that has never been mentioned when I go to the different organizations I belong to is that at least once a year, the organization together in the rain. I mean, a lot of investigators are fully qualified, retired officers, and there's no training. I mean, they have funding. That's the end of it. Mm-hmm. I think that you need to keep up all of your skills. Do you guys ever thought about that?
The range one, I haven't. Again, I just took over the presidency, but that isn't something that was kind of on my radar. Only because I know, we have a mix and match, right? We have guys who are active law enforcement, retired, and then we have some that have never been, law enforcement. And whether you're law enforcement or not, doesn't mean that you can't own a gun. As far as the gun training, that hasn't been on my radar, but that is actually a good idea. That could be something we could look into. Right now, what I've been focusing on was something that we didn't have was, like I said, the virtual learning. I'd heard, and I'm involved in other organizations, and you know what? Sometimes people can't always make a meeting and that commitment. So with the virtual learnings, I've done this now is virtual lunch and learn. So we have a day during the month, and people can learn about different things to try and help them keep up with certain skills. So we are working on that, and I'm a big believer in that. I was a big believer in the police department that training is key, and not just any training, but good consistent training, right? Because it's kind of like martial arts. Like, all right, you can learn the moves, that's great. But can you consistently do the moves, and can you do the moves under stress? And when you practice is good, but perfect practice or close to perfect practice is better. But the gun thing is definitely something I hadn't thought about. But we can definitely talk about that within SPI.
Yeah, any tactical training for investigators. I mean, especially people that work in defense. I mean, we are actually working a homicide case where you could be interviewing the guy that committed the homicide. So the risk is there just because you don't have the uniform and the badge any longer that you cannot get in trouble out there. And you have to be prepared for anything. I mean, I'm a marshal myself, and for many years. So I always try to be focused, in shape, and try to stay on top of the training.
Yeah, no, so our education committee, Denise and Juan, I was speaking to them today. We're working on a survey monkey for our members and we're going to be sending that out. And that's some of the things that we're addressing is what kind of training do you want to see? How do you want to see training? How do you want to see the meetings? Because I 100% agree with you. All of this is important. Like you said, there are schools out there that teach how to do interviews, how to read people, and these are great skills to learn and have, and then to practice. So we are in the midst of working on that. I did send out an email last night letting our members know that there will be a Survey Monkey coming, and the reason I let them know is because there's so much spam email and stuff like that. I really I find it I want this to be as many members as possible to take a look at it and answer it, so this way then we can kind of gear what the training and the meetings are going to be like that can benefit our members, like something like you said, like with interview techniques and stuff like that. 100% that should be some kind of training and be addressed for our members. And once we get that information, we might have members that have connections maybe to a corporate sponsorship for training, or members that maybe they are trainers themselves, and we can utilize those skills in house.
Mike, can you tell us how they could get a hold of you and your company professionally? Can you give us telephone numbers, your email, your information? And so afterwards we'll do the SPI information.
Sure. So so for my company, it's Executive Digital Group, and it's we're at the www.executivedigitalgroup.com, all one word. So you can get a hold of me there. And if you go to the website, there's actually a contact form. You could also call our number, and that's at 631-982-4632. And that'll go right to our office phone, and then there's a dial by name directory, and you can get me there directly. My disclaimer is if I don't pick up, just leave a voicemail. I'll call you back, because either I'm on the phone or I'm on a case. So that way I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me there as well. And now for the Society of Professional Investigators, you can go right to our website, and that's SPINYC.org. And if you go to that website, again, we have a contact form, and you could also on the website is my email address, and that's president@SPINYC.org, and you can email me directly there, and again, with any questions or whatever. And if I can't answer it, I'll try and find somebody on our board or our membership that can.
Michael, any final thoughts or upcoming projects you want to share with us?
So, like I said, tomorrow we have our upcoming meeting, and if anybody can make it, we welcome new members, we welcome guests. I highly recommend going on our website. Like I said, become a member. We offer virtual training. So even if you're not, in New York, but you want to take advantage of our network and virtual training, I would recommend going to our website and joining up. Mention that you saw us on this podcast. That would be awesome. And as far as for new investigators, like I said, try and get involved. If it's not SPI, which I recommend, get involved in organizations, get involved in the industry, learn, find mentors, people that have experience and stuff like that, learn from them, and, get the certifications and stay up with your training.
And Michael, it's been a pleasure having you, my brother, in this podcast. I hope this is not the last time you accept my invitation. I know it's very time consuming, but it's something that needs to get out there and get done. The information that you share with our viewers today opens up a lot of different doors and venues, especially for our veterans. Many veterans get out of the service and they don't know which way to go. And we lose a lot of talent because of lack of information. And I hope that the veterans that are listening, whether they are disabled veterans, they could always get into digital forensics. You don't need to be running around, and you could do great work. And with good training and good mentorship, you could become an expert in the field.
No, I agree. I'm a big proponent of helping and working with veterans. What I didn't mention, I'm also part of the Knights of Columbus, and one of the big things we do, I'm in the assembly and I'm in our council, but our assembly works very closely with the disabled vets home in Northport and here in Stony Brook. And I'm a big proponent of that. And and as being president of SPI, I want to make sure that, we recognize the men and women in military and thank them for all the things that and the service that they perform and do every day.
I really thank you, my brother. Me as a veteran, I tell you from the bottom of my heart, because the veterans and the law enforcement community is very close to my heart. And I'm always trying to help. They could also reach me if they cannot reach you to get information. And they could find me in the podcast. All my information is there. And if I could be of any help to anyone, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you for the honor of having me on your podcast. Very, very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. This concludes this episode of Equalizer podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation, please hit the like and share it with your family and friends and colleagues who might benefit from it. I want to sincerely thank my guest, Mr. Michael Graziano, for walking us through his journey from his years in law enforcement to his work today as co-owner of Executive Digital Group and his position as president of the Society of Professional Investigators, SPI. Most of all, I want to thank you, our listeners, for spending your time with us, supporting this conversation, and being part of the growing community. Your support is the reason we can keep bringing you these stories and insights. A big thank you as well to our production team. Your work behind the scenes is what makes this program possible. Thank you again for tuning in. I'm your host, William Acosta, and stay safe. Until next episode, God bless you and your family.